With dedicated engineers in design, materials, quality, and supply chain, EBCO serves as an extension of your company in supporting your application. Our team can assist with an existing issue or a new design and produce a customized solution. Starting from a concept stage, EBCO provides complementary analysis and modeling to understand your specific needs. From there, we can provide rapid prototype samples to ensure you're getting a product that exceeds your expectations. When it comes to both sample and production quality, you can rest easy knowing that every part's physical and material properties are inspected using our state-of-the-art equipment.
Disproportionate impact of
more than half of Black business owners.
And disproportionate.
Somehow we always find a way to rise.
To the blueprint builders, to the backbones of every block, for the curators of the culture, and for generations to follow. You might fall, but never fail. Keep rising, keep rising, keep rising. Apply for a business, marketing, and tech makeovers on us.
As Trane Technologies, we believe changing our industry will change the world. So we put a stake in the ground with some historic commitments, including a pledge to reduce our customers' carbon emissions by 1 gigaton by the year 2030. What we're doing unifies everything that's important: the sustainability of our business, the power of our people, and the future of our planet. As we look to 2030 and even beyond, Trane Technologies will challenge what's possible for the world and enhance billions of lives. There will be some who say we can't, but we don't believe in impossible. Let's rise to the challenge. Together, we are Trane Technologies.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Donna Ennis, Director of Diversity Engagement and Program Development at the Georgia Tech Enterprise Innovation Institute. I also serve as Director of the Atlanta MBTA Advanced Manufacturing and Business Centers. And on behalf of the Minority Business Development Agency, or MBDA, the MBDA Center Network, Georgia Tech, our sponsors, stakeholders, and partners, we welcome you to the 5th National MBE Manufacturers Summit's opening reception. It is amazing to me that we are celebrating the 5th summit and hosting our first virtual summit. Our vision of having an annual gathering where MBE manufacturers, partners, and stakeholders can come together was delayed by the worldwide pandemic, but we and our vision was not defeated. We are so pleased to have all of you join us from California, Puerto Rico, New York, Georgia, and many places in between. We opened the summit with our Summit E virtual gathering of the industry's most influential MBE manufacturers, innovators, leaders, and entrepreneurs. This is an opportunity to connect with individuals who are shaping and transforming their industry. The theme of the summit this year is Future Forward, disrupting in the time of uncertainty. And this has been, without a doubt, a time of uncertainty and disruption. Global factors such as the worldwide pandemic, social unrest, human migration, and climate change have dominated the headlines. International supply chains have been disturbed. Businesses large and small have been forced to adapt to changes in buyers' behavior, and many of us have found new ways to get work done and keep moving forward. Over these next 2.5 days, you will hear about the current and future state of key industries, smart manufacturing, the industrial Internet of Things, and cybersecurity, and how all of these factors can help you globally compete and prosper. Through our keynotes, virtual poster wall competition, technology showcase, manufacturing technology tour, and more, we will focus on innovation and technologies that are driving the future of manufacturing. We have a great lineup of speakers and experts ready to share their insights and information with you. Before we continue with our evening, I need to take a few moments to thank the many people and organizations that helped to make this summit a success. First, I'd like to recognize our sponsors. Our founding sponsor is the Georgia Manufacturing Extension Partnership. Our center level sponsors are Comcast, EBCO, and Train Technologies. Our bridge builders are Grady Health Systems and the Home Depot, and our summit level sponsors are BMW and Siemens. We want to thank you for investing in this initiative. And again, we thank our 4 supporting partners who helped us develop content and promote the summit: the Georgia Tech Manufacturing Institute, the Healthcare Supplier Diversity Alliance, Next Generation Manufacturing, and Starbucks. Putting this summit together was a new and different experience for me and my staff. From programming to marketing to production, we had a top-notch team that came together to make this virtual summit a reality. I'd like to extend a special thank you to these companies and individuals who guided us and held our hands throughout this process. ISOM Global Strategies, Tawan, Alan, Adrian, Garrett, and all the others, you really rock. Yana and her team at Control Video, thank you for working with our team of neophytes. And Durga of Eventex, thank you for hanging in there with us since the very beginning. The Summit's platform is brought to you by Eventex. I'd also like to thank and recognize our advisory council who continues to provide guidance and support. Louise Connell with BMW, Bill Bernardo with EBCO, Jackie LaCroix of Train Technologies, and Adam Walker of Packaging Solutions. Again, thank you for your help. Our staff has grown, and to all of you, Lauren Roberts, Brandy Nagel, Doreen Kincaid, Anita Davis, Jennifer Pasley, Anthony Jackson, Jamarcus King, Sam Nab, Aisha Jones, and Dr. Billy D. Brown. I really, really appreciate your time, commitment, and energy. During the summit, you will enjoy the poster walk and fast pitch sessions just as in years past. And we'll have the same world-class educational and information sessions and some great networking, but just in a different format. So make sure you post throughout the summit and highlight what you've learned. Look for our hashtags in the chat. Each year, the summit recognizes individuals who have contributed to manufacturing in 3 categories: making a difference, breaking the mold, and legacy. So stay tuned while we prepare to announce the Making a Difference Award. Thank you. The Making a Difference Award recognizes an individual or organization who has dedicated their life to leveling the playing field for diverse manufacturing and logistics suppliers. Let's see a photo of the award, please. This year, the Making a Difference Award goes to David J. Burton, President and founder of the Diverse Manufacturing Supply Chain Alliance, known as DMSCA. DMSCA was founded as the National Minority Manufacturing Institute in 2006 and renamed in 2014. Throughout the years, David has worked tirelessly with diverse suppliers, corporations, and partners to help diverse manufacturers and logistics suppliers develop their supply chain through DMSCA's corporate mentoring program, supplier performance certification, and other initiatives. He launched the DMSCA Supplier Development Foundation in 2020 to drive manufacturing digitization and workforce training, has written extensively on supply chain development, testified for diverse suppliers on the Hill, and continues to advocate relentlessly for parity, equity, and inclusion, not just in the supply chain, but for historically Black colleges and universities, or HBCUs, and other underrepresented communities. David received the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights under Law's 2013 Frank R. Parker Award for courage and perseverance in the legal fight for HBCU parity and competitiveness. Note that he has been the lead plaintiff for 17 years for a major education civil rights lawsuit against the state of Maryland and just won a major settlement in this case. A native of Columbia, South Carolina, David is a U.S. regular Army captain and decorated Vietnam vet, and is certified as an American Institute of Certified Planner and a Master of City and Regional Planning certification. Thank you, David Burton, for all you do for the MBE manufacturing community. This award is for you. Play the video, please.
In digitalized supply chains, data is the new oil, and manufacturing will be changed forever. Industry 4.0 technologies such as artificial intelligence, robotic automation, predictive analytics, cybersecurity, and blockchain are transforming the way manufacturing suppliers must align performance to compete. One size does not fit all. DMSCA supplier members develop unique supply chain strategies. No one else brings together supply chain trading partners and procurement decision makers with a common focus. Learn, gain, hear, participate. Learn more about DMSCA at Accelerate 2022.
Donna, my thanks to all of you that have made this recognition possible. While our business models may vary and be different, I think you would agree that we all have one thing in common. We've made no our vitamin. We also know that it has been about the team. And in the case of DMSCA, it has been about our corporate members and our suppliers, all of which have been engaged in this journey. As supply chains become more complex and more digitized, and as corporations transform their supply chains to a virtual digitalization supply network, we also know that our tasks and challenges will be exacerbated as suppliers need now to incorporate technologies, learn how to retool their workforce to engage in a digitized operating environment in smart factories. Again, thank you for this recognition. I look forward to staying on this journey with you, and certainly you and others at the MBDA have been a part of this journey, have been a part of our journey. We look forward to working with you. The journey continues.
Next, I'd like to introduce to you another extraordinary person. In fact, today's keynote was the National MBE Manufacturer Summit's first Legacy Award winner. Joseph B. Anderson Jr. is chairman and CEO and major owner of TAG Holdings, LLC, which owns several manufacturing, service, and technology-based companies currently based in North America. Over the course of its history, TAG Holdings has engaged in 15 acquisitions and joint ventures located in North America, Korea, and China.
These businesses have served a variety of industries, including automotive, heavy equipment, aerospace, and defense. There is so much to say about Mr. Joe Anderson. He is a graduate of West Point, has an illustrious military career where he served in Vietnam. Joe and the infantry platoon he commanded in Vietnam were subjects of the highly acclaimed documentary film, The Anderson Platoon. This documentary has been shown in more than 20 countries and has won several awards, including an Emmy and an Oscar. Joe launched his career at General Motors, where he rose to general director of the body hardware business unit, which had 7,000 employees and revenue of over $1 billion. After 13 years, he left General Motors to become president and CEO of a privately held company, Composite Energy Management Systems. He later acquired controlling interest in another privately held entity, Shivas Products Limited, which manufactured interior trim products and lighting assemblies, principally for the automotive industry. So as you can see, Joe has been an acquisition guy for a long time. He is a past chairman of the U.S. Department of Commerce Manufacturing Council, has served on the boards of directors of several New York Stock Exchange companies, and is currently on a variety of boards, including the Business Leaders for Michigan and the Michigan Aerospace Manufacturers Association. Joe also serves as chairman of the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago, the Detroit branch, among other community and business organizations. So I'd like to welcome you to our virtual stage, Mr. Joe Anderson. Take it away, Joe.
Thank you very much, Donna. And it's a pleasure to be back with you some 5 years after the recognition that you gave me at that very first event. I'm happy to continue with the effort of sharing what's going on in my world, which has continued to evolve. And as you title this particular conference, Future Forward, Disruption in a Time of Uncertainty, you could not have timed it and labeled it better. What I'd like to do is talk about those notions and then move forward into what you asked me to speak specifically about today. When we talk about future forward, the key term is forward in my view. Future is talking about things yet to happen, but forward talks about direction. Where are we going? What progress are we trying to make? What are the successful conclusions we're trying to reach? Now, if you focus on disruption, there's certainly no limit of that around these days. If you talk about the geopolitical uncertainties globally, obviously the COVID impact has made significant consequences in terms of labor availability and supply chain issues, to include chips, as we're all dealing with. But in addition to that, there are the social and cultural concerns that are front and center today as diversity and inclusion continue to develop and evolve. And then there's our everyday situation in domestic politics, where the role of government continues to be debated, as some will call it socialism, as the current administration tries to provide more services and support to everyday individuals. And of course, if you look and reflect on manufacturing, Industry 4.0 has continued to evolve. And so again, talking about future forward, those are the kinds of things that are going on with us every day. Now, you specifically asked me to talk about the courage to lead, innovate, and make change. And all of that reflects on the things that I've done since becoming an entrepreneur in 1994, and some 15 or so companies later, and with more on the horizon. I would like to make sure that everybody is on the same page with me when they talk about courage. As you heard about my Vietnam experience and the exploits there, you might think that's the courage I would raise first. Actually, it is not. Because as a platoon leader and company commander in Vietnam in leadership positions and roles, My responsibility was to take care of the soldiers who were there, and that was my focus. And the things that I did in terms of calling in artillery, air support, those kinds of things that were not about courage, but about doing the job I had been trained to do. And that's certainly something that all of us can relate to in terms of our everyday efforts. Speaking further about innovation, that's a very specific notion related to change as I talk about it today. Change is something that is established, hopefully radical change that will make a difference going forward. And so my purpose today is just to talk about how those terms have made a difference and played out in my life, and very specifically, cause you to stop and think how they have made a difference and played out in your own lives. Because I found that those presentations that I hear that causes me to take away something for myself as a result of me reflecting on what the speaker said, but applying it to me has made the most difference. So let me give you a few examples of how that's occurred and made a difference in my life. For example, when I made the decision to go to West Point, did not have any background or military in the military and so forth. I thought the Army Navy game was between the United States Army and the United States Navy. But with more information and insight about what the academy was, the education what I get that I would get there, I made the decision to go. When I entered the academy, on the other hand, it was a very different environment from which I had evolved in terms of my background in Topeka, Kansas. Most of you have heard about the Supreme Court decision, Brown versus the Board of Education of Topeka, Kansas. That is my class. And so when I graduated from grade school, I was graduating from an all segregated school environment. The courage to step into a junior high environment that was integrated, to take on challenges there, to lead, to play sports, to become president of my senior class in the ninth grade. Those are the kinds of challenges that one takes on and can lead and make a difference wherever you are, whatever you engage in. When I graduated from West Point, I chose the infantry. Why I chose the infantry is that I like people. I like leading people. And so that decision followed me on into my experience in General Motors. And so when I joined General Motors, I went into manufacturing, again, with the notion of being involved and engaged with people. And then when I moved from executive in General Motors to owning and operating my own companies, they were manufacturing companies, continuing that continuity of people, people, people. And so when young people come to me and say, well, how do you make a decision? What guides you in what you do? My response to them is, who are you? What makes a difference for you? What guides and leads you? And that's the kind of focus and effort that will impact what you do going forward. Now, in the people business, there are certain factors and elements that make a difference for me every day. First among those is communications. As I interact with my executive team, talk to them about my vision for the future, encourage them to contribute their thoughts and insights as to what's going on around us. That two-way communication makes all the difference in the world. Besides what's going on in my individual companies internally, I also look for and engage in relationships external to my businesses. And so understanding the environment in which my businesses are operating, being engaged with organizations like the Business Leaders for Michigan and or the Federal Reserve Bank, which I chair here, those relationships and activities are fundamental to what happens. Then as you build bigger organizations, you certainly want to develop teams. And those teams are fundamental and critical to the organization being effective because you personally cannot be involved and on top of everything that goes on. But what people are looking for most in you is to talk about behaving and thinking like a leader. West Point is, I consider one of the greatest innovative institutions for leadership training and development in the United States and around the world. And taking that leadership development experience and the training that I had there helped me go a long way toward the kinds of things and what I do to apply it every day. And so taking that leadership and transforming that into innovation, back to our subject matter to today, that innovation is about transformational leadership. We want to innovate and make things happen differently than we had known them in the past. And so being very aggressive about doing radical changes and innovation is what I am very excited to take on whenever the opportunity presents itself. And then with that innovation and change, you can hope to direct your teams to be agile in their thinking so that the opportunities and innovation opportunities that are presented to them every day are fundamental to how they engage. Now, going back to where I started, what is the kind of difference that I hope to make? When I graduated from West Point, there were absolutely no Black general officers in the Army, and there were only 6 colonels. When I came to General Motors, myself and another Air Force 2-star general were the first Black executives in manufacturing and operations. When I bought my first company, there were only a dozen or so of us as major suppliers in the auto industry and so forth. And so, what innovation, what change do I see myself engaged in? When young people come to me and say, "Well, where are you and where are you going?" I talk about where we have been, but where we want to go. And in that context, I say many of us have had jobs. My father worked for the Santa Fe Railroad. He was a laborer there and went to work every day, 8 to 5. And he took care of his family and gave me the opportunity for a great education. When I got to General Motors, I moved into the executive ranks and was able to evolve and take on great experiences, create some wealth for myself in terms of salary and bonuses, but not move into a wealthy categorization. The challenge and opportunity for us as a Black community and a business community is to create wealth after having been through the stage of getting jobs, after having been through having executive positions and lifestyle. What about wealth creation? And so, as I've taken on that opportunity in the businesses that I've owned and operated, I have created the process of creating wealth for the individuals that work for me. And so, if you talk about the companies that I've owned and operated, I always put minority executives in place and give them the opportunity to acquire those businesses. And that's happened with 5 different companies that I've owned. And those individuals are now owning and operating those businesses and creating wealth for themselves. And so, again, innovation in terms of wealth creation is something that I took on and have been very comfortable that has made a difference. And if you talk about the individuals that have passed through Tag Holdings, my holding company, individuals like Billy Vickers, James Tolston, Poncho Hall, Anthony Jackson, Adam Clater, Alfonso Hall, those are all individuals that have worked in Tag Holdings and now are owning and operating their own businesses. And that's the whole process of being innovative about ownership and wealth creation in our community. So the point I would conclude with is that there are lots and lots of opportunities for us to make a difference. You need to understand, as I did, what makes a difference about what I am focused on. I like people, I like leading people, I like creating business opportunities for myself and for others. And in doing that, it has been very effective and successful for all the things that I would want you to take away in terms of how you have evolved in your own environment. Think back on what's made a difference for you, and it'll make all the difference in the world for those around you. I'd like to close with a quotation that I think says a lot about how to proceed and who we are. I quote as follows: average leaders raise the bar on themselves. Good leaders raise the bar for others. Great leaders inspire others to raise their own bar. Let me say that last part again. Great leaders inspire others to raise their own bar. So Billy Vickers, who you'll hear from on Thursday, James Tolson, Anthony Jackson, Al Hall, all of those gentlemen are now in the process of raising their own bar. And that's what we should be about as we go about creating a future forward in this time of uncertainty. Thank you very much. And now I'd like to open it up for questions and see what some of your questions are, and we can talk about what makes a difference from you. The first question I have here is, what quality do you look for when hiring new employees, particularly when you think about that person's future as a potential executive or business owner? Very good question. Some of the things that I look for is what are their own experiences in the past that have shown that they are willing to show courage and show initiative and take actions and steps of their own. Have they done things that move the needle for themselves and or move the needle for others, therefore can plan to come into TAG Holdings and make a difference for us? And so as I hired some of these individuals, it wasn't their first work experience, but it was their work experience with me. And we had the opportunity to take on a number of initiatives and make a difference and grow TAG Holdings. And that's very, very important and something I look forward to in every business every individual that I look forward to hiring. Let's see what we have for our next question. Question is, do you think the youth of today have good opportunities? I absolutely do. And the reason I would make that point is that there are so many new and unique challenges and creative circumstances that did not exist in the past. And so, particularly for minorities in this time of innovation and change, it's a circumstance that lends itself to creating great wealth in the community and growing significant businesses. When I joined my first company, Chivas Products, it was a $50 million revenue business, but I didn't understand all the things that I've learned and grown to understand today. Now, as that company and others that I've owned have evolved and become even bigger and more successful, those challenges every day make all the difference in the world. So I think the youth of today being willing to show the courage, and again, courage is not about being willing to overcome fear. Courage is being willing to do innovative things, take on challenges, move in a new direction. Those are the kinds of things that I would think make all the difference in the world. Another question. How have you decided what projects will make a difference? I wish I could say to you that I had a rule of thumb that, applies to everything I've done. There are some basics that I apply. Number one, I try not to get involved in commodity kinds of circumstances because in a commodity environment, low price wins. And I don't want to be bidding against others where you're taken to the lowest common denominator. I have taken on a number of business opportunities where there are no other minority business enterprises, in that I've taken advantage of the desire and commitment in the business community to expand opportunities for minority businesses. One of my companies that I currently own that is called Barron Industries. It does vacuum impregnation. Now, when I saw that company first, I had no idea what vacuum impregnation is. But as I looked into it and learned, I came to understand that when they're porosity and castings, for a company that is doing machining, they either have the choice of throwing the casting away when there's porosity or sending to me. And so when I bought that company in 2016, it was doing something that there were no other minorities in. It has continued to grow and is 4 times as big as it was just 4 or 5 years ago. So those are the kinds of things that I look into and consider when I'm looking at what projects that I take on that will make a difference. Next question. Oh, this is a difficult one. What is your formula for creating wealth? There is no formula besides hard work. But again, applying some of the same tools and skills that have gotten you to the point of success where you are operating a business or engaged in an executive role and so forth, so that you can take on more and more challenges and so forth. So I did that first company, and then another one presented itself, and another and another. Uh, when I bought a company in China and another in Korea, was there any rhyme or reason to that other than they were the opportunities that fit the opportunity and circumstance at the time, and I took them on and felt very good about them, etc. Have all my businesses been successful? Absolutely not. But enough have been successful that I continue to grow and create wealth for myself and for others. Let me see what the next question is. The question is, each time you decided to open a new business, what was the catalyst or inspiration to do this? As I'm looking at 2 companies now for my next opportunities, in both of those instances, they are companies that I have not done work in that area before. But very, very important in that is one of those companies I don't think any African American has ever done before. And so to that end, I'm very excited about breaking another glass ceiling, creating circumstances that will lend itself to other minorities, other African Americans getting into activities and opportunities that has not been the case before. So what you're hearing me say is I get excited about challenges. I get excited about innovation. I get excited about breaking glass ceilings. I get excited about things that have never been done before, particularly in the minority community or Black community. Next question. What are your next challenges? That's a very good question. And I think taking on these business opportunities that currently exist are the challenges that I feel most excited about. Each new business is a new opportunity and a new challenge. And as those present themselves to me, I get excited, I get fully engaged, and more importantly, I try to identify the right people to put in place in operating those businesses for me day to day. And as I said to you before, they have the opportunity at the end of the day to take on those businesses and own and operate them themselves. If I have investors, I mean, it's got to be a fair value proposition for the value of the company. But at the end of the day, they can own and operate those companies. And that's more than enough to keep me going on to the next one and the next one and the next one. But I like those challenges and particularly doing things that haven't been done before. Next question. What advice would you give to a manufacturer still stuck in industry 1.0/2.0? Well, the first thing I would say to you is be the best manufacturer that you can be in 1.0/2.0. And that's about quality, cost, delivery, technology, that whatever is associated with that. And then identify what are the next horizons and opportunities related to what you do. And put a game plan in place, a strategy to move to that next area of opportunity for yourself, so that at no time can you say, well, I was stuck. And so you are where you are now, but there certainly is no reason why you have to stay there unless you allow yourself to stay there. And so the challenge and courage I would say is look for and take on that opportunity and initiative that would move you to the next level of engagement. Another question that has come up. How long will you continue to do what you're doing? And the answer to that question is as long as I can get up in the morning and do it. I enjoy what I do every single day. I have no notion of retiring. And there's still a lot of opportunity, innovation, challenges to take on. And that's what gets me up every day. And so I am looking forward to the next opportunity beyond the two that I've just talked about, and they keep coming. And so this is just a very creative and successful time to take on those kinds of initiatives. Let's see what else, another questions come up here. Question is, how can I better evaluate the risk in my business? I think there are several areas to engage in evaluating risks. Number one among those is what's the situation in the market in which you're involved in? Is there a future for that market? And so as we move more and more toward electronic vehicles and so forth and so on, the gas-powered engines and those kinds of functions and activities are definitely going to be at risk. And so understand where the future is and how you can move in the right direction to be part of that future. I think that understanding the financial world around you and what resources and capital are available to help you grow that business is a circumstance that deserves your attention. And there's no shortage of capital and opportunities for growth in today's environment. So take on those opportunities and look for as much innovation and creativity and wealth creation as possible. How do you find employees and hire new team members? I have a search firm, an African American woman, that helps me identify a diverse slate of candidates whenever I am looking for new employees. And so at the time that I am out there and engaged and looking for employees, I make sure that that slate of candidates is diverse, and I have every commitment to make sure that, as was my case coming along when there were very few minorities, I don't want that to be the case going forward. And so I am very focused and committed on making sure that pool of employees is diverse and that they have a variety of backgrounds that can contribute to what they do and so forth. And so I would like to conclude by saying this has been a great opportunity. I would very much encourage you to enjoy the rest of the conference and so forth. And Donna, let me turn it back to you. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, Joe, for those inspiring words. I took some notes. I'd just like to say to the group out there, innovation through wealth creation, wealth building was a major point. There are lots of opportunity to make a difference, but you have to decide what makes a difference to you. And then finally, great leaders inspire others to raise their own bar. So again, Joe, thank you so much for those inspiring words. You'll hear from one of his, can I say, proteges on Thursday when we hear from Billy Vickers of Modular Assembly Innovations. So now it's some time for networking. Yay, virtual networking. Traditionally, we would be in one large room at a reception, talking in groups, swapping business cards, and enjoying food. This year, we will leave the auditorium, meet in the networking and knowledge pods, and mix and mingle virtually. If you've been to our summits, in the past, you know we always have had incredible musicians, and this year is no exception. So, intermixed in the next hour or so, you'll hear the music of Grammy Award nominated guitarist Rod Harris Jr., and that will be in between our networking and our breakout rooms. Each room will be hosted and facilitated by a Georgia Tech staff member who is there to help us break the ice and to get the conversation started. So we will not be together as a group again until tomorrow. So before we start networking, I want to encourage all of you to enjoy as much of our virtual summit as you can. We know we're competing with the virtual world and the emails and all the work that you have to do, but we do encourage you to go to the poster walk, to enjoy our educational and training sessions, check out the Starbucks manufacturing tour, our fireside chat, our keynotes, and of course, many of you have your meetings scheduled during our Fast Pitch one-on-one sessions. This summit is always and has been designed for you, so we want you to take as much opportunity to enjoy it as possible. So make sure you post throughout the summit and highlight what you have learned and what you're enjoying. Look for the hashtags in the chat. So let's get started with some networking. But first, we'll listen to the sounds of Grammy-nominated Rod Harris Jr. Then, after you hear the music, you can click and join the breakout room of your choice for networking. There'll be some signs. You can feel free to navigate between the different rooms. And note that these rooms will be open every day at the end of the summit so that we can continue our networking. So please return after the music to meet people. See you soon.